Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 6 of Hobby Boss's SAAB J-32B-E Lansen. In part 6 I'm going to be dealing with the canopy. That's the two parts of the canopy, the main piece and the front piece. Now, as I stated before, the front piece was missing, so I'm going to be having to go at scratch building this. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. So to begin the scratch build, what I have here is some scrap of photo etch, and I'm going to be using this as the frame. So as you can see, the main piece there, and as I explained before, the front piece is missing. I cut out part of the frame on the photo etch part to give me this thin piece of photo etch, and what I'm going to do now is create the curve, hopefully the same size as the other piece of canopy. So I'm using that as a template. So I'm just wrapping it around and bending it into shape. And once I've done that, I'm just holding it with a little bit of masking tape so it doesn't spring up. But when I do cut this to size, it will spring back out, but it will have the bend that I need. I'm then taking a slightly wider piece and measuring it up to where the canopy would actually sit. I've got a further 4 lengths of photo etch, and I'm just applying a little bit of white glue, and I'm going to secure it to one end of the bended piece to make the bottom part of the frame. And I'll carry around on the bended piece. So as you can see there, I've got the two main pieces at the front of the canopy, and I'm just placing on the actual bottom frame now. I'll then take the bottom wider piece and place it onto the leading edge of the bottom of the frame and secure that first of all, and then I'll do the same with the opposite side and bring it together for the wider piece, so that it should in theory marry up to the size of the actual canopy. Obviously I've got a lot of overhang that will all be cut off, but as you can see that I'm just testing it to make sure that I get the right width. And once I was happy with that, I got the two central pieces and attached them to the wider piece at the front. And I'm just using my locking pliers here just to secure it all off before I cut off the excess. So I'm just using some scissors to cut off the excess. And that will give me the basic framework once I tidy things up a bit. I'm painting it in Humbrol 117 US light green. So this is the first coat. I'll need a couple of coats, and both the inside and the outside of this frame will be painted. Once it was dry, I noticed it was a little bit uneven at the bottom, so I used some filler just to try and get it even. This didn't work out too well. In fact, this is where things started to go wrong. The framework itself is so very delicate, any pressure will bend the photo etch. So I'm having to be very careful with this filler and how I'm handling the actual framework. In the end, once it dried, it left a bumpy finish, which I thought I would get away with once it was painted, but I really didn't. For the clear parts, I've got this poly bag, the same bag that comes in when packaging for photo etch stuff and things like that. And I'll just cut a little bit out. I then put a bit of white glue on the inside of the framework, and then I was able just to press in the clear plastic. And once it was dried, I just used my knife with a new blade in it to trim off any excess. And on the facial it looked okay. I was happy with the clear part, but the actual finish of the framework I really wasn't happy with at all. So I test fitted it, put on a little bit of white glue just so it would hold while I was test fitting it, so that I can take it back off if I didn't like it. And it just looked like it was sitting too heavily on the plane. The ridges on the photo etch were too pronounced, I think, and it just didn't look great. So then I moved on to the larger piece, and it's a 117 US light green once more to paint the frame of the larger part of the canopy. And I'm doing this freehand like I normally do. I do this freehand just because I think it takes too long masking it out, then having to paint, then taking the masking off and so forth. I do it freehand this way, and if I do it in one fluid motion, if any paint does go over the line, I can simply scrape that off using a cocktail stick. So it's back to the second try of the canopy. This time I'm using plastic art, so thin strips, once more similar to the photo etch. Now as a backup, I'm going to be making a canvas cover, which was suggested to me on YouTube that this could be an option if I couldn't get the canopy right. So I'm using here RC 416 Pullman Cream by Humbrol, and I'm painting over a bit of masking tape that's two pieces sandwiched together, similar to what I done with the seat belts, to give it a canvas look. In fact, this is leftover material from the flying elephant, which I done previously. And once it was painted, I added one of the rindles. I'd taken this one from the bottom part of the wing that I didn't use. I couldn't place it on because I should have put it on before the pylons. So it was a good opportunity to use a single rindle. So once the second canopy was glued together and painted, I repeated the process with the glue and the clear bit of plastic from the packaging. But once again, it just didn't look right while I was sitting on the aircraft. So in the end, I decided to use the canvas idea. But I did leave the second attempt on it so the canvas can sit over it. And needless to say, I'm showing you this out of sequence with the decals on. I haven't done the video yet with the decals on. That'll be in part 7. But like the weapons in part 5, this was done over quite a previous amount of time. So again, it was better to get it all into one video, even though it may be a little bit confusing, because one minute you'll see the aircraft decals on, next minute you'll see them off. It's just the way that I went about building the aircraft. And this is where I'll end part 6. In part 7, I'll finish off the canvas before placing it on the actual aircraft itself, and I'll show the video of the decals, which is, I'll be a short video anyway, speed it up. Once you see one decal going on, you don't need to see them all really. So in the meantime, if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, of course, but all my future builds. If you hit that like button and leave a comment, don't mind what you have to say, as long as it's nice and constructive, especially about the canopy arch. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on that. And of course, don't forget to share the video. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this part. But bye for now.